Okay, so welcome back to day 2 of 15 minutes a day spoken English classes. In the beginning, I would just like to give a disclaimer or two. Yesterday, I had shared my video with some good friends of mine. They are working as principals also, and I had sought their opinion about this whole initiative, whether it will be a good initiative, it will work or not, teachers will be benefited by this or not, and I am very happy that I received very good feedback from them. Few things were there which were shared with me as a concern. I wanted to clarify those things before beginning with today's class. One thing was that use of Hindi, bilingual approach, and in bilingual also I used more Hindi that time. So that is deliberately done, keeping in mind that in all the schools all the teachers are not very well versed with English language. There are teachers who teach other languages, for example Punjabi, Hindi or any other language, or any other subjects, music, art and craft, dance and all, which do not require that much of spoken English on their part because they don't have to teach. But for communication purpose in CBSE affiliated schools, those teachers are also expected to communicate with the students in English. So for helping them, I wanted to do it from the beginning, kind of zero. So that is why initially there will be Hindi also. Gradually we will come to the level where there will be more of English, because I had already stressed upon listening yesterday. The more you will listen, the better you will be, and the more English you will listen, obviously the better you will be at spoken English. So we'll come to that level gradually. Second thing was, there was a doubt in the mind of some whether there will be proper grammar teaching or not. No, there will not be grammar teaching, because English grammar in itself is a very vast subject to deal with, and their proper attention is required for that grammar teaching, keeping in mind basically the writing, where the students have to write in their exams and gain marks. Our purpose of having these classes is not that. Here I want to remove the hesitation of teachers in particular and students and parents in general. So my prime focus is on the teachers, but side by side, like I mentioned yesterday also, that the students and the parents can also be benefited with these classes. So there will not be in-depth grammar teaching, but the things which will be taught will be the ones which are very much required by teachers and students in the school. So because of that only I had said, I had focused and laid more stress on the required English knowledge, required vocabulary yesterday. So we'll be focusing more on that vocabulary and that knowledge which is required by the teachers in school. Next thing is, there was a bit of doubt about when I said simple sentences and the sentences which have the main forms of verb. In tenses also, I had already clearly mentioned yesterday that tenses are also sentences. I play cricket is a tense as well as a sentence, and it is a simple sentence also when we talk about the kinds of sentences, simple, compound, complex and all. But that again is an aspect of grammar, and I am not going to go into those aspects of English grammar. So for me, the division, the bifurcation between the sentences is based on the action words. There are sentences and tenses which have action words in them, which I was laying stress upon as work and verb, main forms of verb. So to begin with, I wanted to discuss those sentences which do not have the action words, the main forms of verb. The verbs which we used the other day were like is, am, are, was, were. These are also verbs called be form of verb. There are some forms, 3 forms: be form, then have, and then do. So be form of verbs have is, am, are, was, were, etc. have is which has and had, and do is all the action words. But like I said, I'm not going to go into too much of the details, so my focus will be on the kinds of sentences which have these action words and which do not have. Main focus will be on the words which have action words, because then they become the tenses. The sentences become the tenses when they involve any kind of action words, verbs, play, eat, sleep, drink, any action word. So these were the disclaimers which I wanted to give, so that it is clear in the mind of everybody, whether in the live classes or on YouTube, what are they going to get after attending these classes. Now I just wanted to tell you a very small story so that you can feel bit motivated for spoken English, especially the ones who feel that they cannot speak English because they have never spoken English, they are not very good at spoken English, they do not get good company to speak English, they don't get enough motivation and encouragement to speak English. For them this story is very important. Story is of a boy who was born in a typical lower middle class family, did not have many people to speak English with in and around his house. Like I said, some teachers have this in mind, some students also have this in mind, that I don't have a good company. Likewise, that boy also did not have. He studied in the vernacular language medium. Suppose if I am talking about Punjab, then Hindi medium. During his schooling, did his senior secondary also from Punjab School Education Board. In graduation also did not find many opportunities to speak English and hence could not. Later he decided to become a teacher, so did his B.Ed. During B.Ed also he could not speak English at all. He was scared of speaking English, couldn't utter a few words also. But then by the grace of God, it happened so that he came across a classmate, the B.Ed classmate, who was very good at spoken English. So when he would speak English, this person would sit next to him and would keep listening to him. He was so fascinated, so charmed by the spoken English of his classmate. It motivated him to such an extent that he thought that after B.Ed I will also speak English like him. So when he completed his B.Ed, then he had a few options how to learn that English which he wanted to speak. One option was going for some course, the spoken English courses, the centers and all. The second option was taking help from some friends or some teachers which he knew personally. And the third was self-help, that he could go back to the basics and try to work on himself, his spoken English. And he chose the third option. He did his schooling from Punjab School Education Board, I told you already. During those days, the English was taught in the form of translation, especially when we are talking about sentences and tenses, translation from Hindi to English and from English to Hindi, both ways. So this was the way of teaching in Punjab School Education Board those days. So he knew only that way. So after B.Ed, obviously he won't be having those books and all with him. So he went to market, purchased that grammar book which he studied in his own times, 9th and 10th class, the English grammar book, and started practicing. When he got little confidence, then he went to market, purchased another translation book only, which had only translation from Hindi to English. Then started working on that book also, started working on himself, started speaking some words, started adding words to his vocabulary. And like I said, he did not have any company to speak English with. At home, no one could speak English. In the surroundings, no one could speak English. All typical Punjabi speaking people. So he had to speak to himself. And he never hesitated. He would practice some sentences and will speak with himself in front of the mirror. Or whenever he would go to So Chal Aaye, It's a place which many associate with not so good things to be done, but he found that place as a very calm place, so he called it Sochale, not Shauchale, because there he will get all the thoughts, the readings which he did of English, translations, the vocabulary, he would memorize all those things, recall all those things at that time also. So that was the kind of passion I just wanted to say, which was ignited in that boy, that I will learn to speak English at any cost without paying a single penny to any other person for teaching him English. And within 2 months, the boy who could not utter a single word of English, who had zero confidence, started speaking English. And as I told you, he did his B.Ed, so he got his first job, then second job, then third job, then fourth job, based on the speaking of English which he could do in front of the interviewers. He could create a good impression, the kind of impression which was created on him by his classmate at that time during B.Ed. He could also create that kind of impression on the interviewers, and he kept getting better and better and better jobs, and later became a principal. So that boy is standing in front of you. So if you feel that you don't know English at all, you don't have any company to practice English, you don't have any resources for learning English, you are no worse at the condition than that boy. Your condition is not as worse as that boy had. The only difference is the resolution, the commitment, the willingness, the zeal, the passion which that boy had. And it is only English. I have no hesitation in making this statement openly on social media also, that whatever I am today is because of that little English which I know. I don't claim to be a master of English. My subject, teaching subject, was not English till B.Ed. I was a science graduate, where people would say, बेटा जैसी मर्जी इंग्लिश लिख दो, इंग्लिश होनी चाहिए, स्पेलिंग्स की टेंशन नहीं लेनी, ग्रामर की टेंशन नहीं लेनी, वर्ब का टेंशन नहीं लेनी, बस इंग्लिश में लिखना आंसर. दिस इज़ व्हाट आवर टीचर्स वुड से जनरली, बिकॉज दे से इसमें मार्क्स नहीं कटते. साइंस लिखनी है, स्पेलिंग के मार्क्स नहीं कटते. सोशल साइंस लिखनी है, स्पेलिंग के मार्क्स नहीं कटते. सेंटेंस गलत हो जाएगा, मार्क्स नहीं कटेंगे. सेंस थोड़ी बहुत कन्वे हो जाना चाहिए. सो अ चाइल्ड हु ग्रू विद दीज स्टेटमेंट्स had to learn correct English because he was now a teacher. He could not afford to speak and write wrong English because his students would also learn the same wrong English. This is what I conveyed to you people in the previous lecture also. Why do we need to be correct at English? Only because our students are learning from us. So now, if there is any kind of hesitation, any kind of doubt, any kind of fear in your mind related to spoken English, a live example is in front of you. And I don't think I am speaking very bad English. So if it is good enough, I don't say that impressive. Still, I find a long way to go in terms of spoken English to be that impressive as I was impressed by a friend of mine. But still, if it is good enough, then anybody can do this. Anyone who knows Hindi or Punjabi can learn English very well. Why am I saying Hindi and Punjabi? Because I mentioned last time that a child, newborn baby, he doesn't have any language at that time. That's why whichever language he starts listening to, he starts practicing that language, reciprocating that, repeating, revising, and learns. So there are two theories. One theory says that we should only speak that language with the students which we want them to learn. That's why in most of the schools, in my school also, I say speak in English with the students. Don't give them any other chance to ponder upon any other language. You speak in English with them, slowly and steadily, gradually, they will come to spoken English. They will have to, because they have no other option with them, right? The other theory says it can be learned with help of the translation methods also. The way I said, it can be learned from the translation method also, because I have learned it. And similarly, your teachers, their teachers also studied in this method only. They also learnt through this way. So it depends on person what kind of method he is comfortable with. But I strongly believe the more we grow, the better is the possibility to learn through these translation methods, because we already know the meanings of many words in our own language, and we have to simply correlate our own knowledge with the knowledge in English. Whereas a child is a blank slate who doesn't know anything, and he has to learn everything fresh. So learning everything fresh seems a bit tough to me, but correlating the knowledge, new knowledge which we are acquiring with the knowledge which we already have seems a bit easy to me. It will depend on the audience, the live audience as well as the YouTube audience, whichever way they find good. I'll try to keep a balance of both the ways, because I said you will get lot more to listen like you're getting today. Listen to good English, slow English, steady English, simple English to begin with, and gradually we'll move towards the complexity. So more of teaching in the coming lecture, because 15 minutes are over today. I had already instructed to my helping hand yesterday that he should give me an alarm after 15 minutes, because I have named these classes as 15 minutes a day classes. So more of the teaching we'll do tomorrow. So if you find this video useful, stay tuned, because the upcoming videos are going to be even more useful. And I like I said, the more stress will be on these action words and the sentences including action words. These are going to be very helpful for the teachers to teach in the classes when they have to conversate with the students. So till the time, stay tuned, and if you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe that also. Thank you.